Hi guys, this is Niki Rowland. I'm here today for Spiegel Mum Scraps, and I'm making a layout using two sequin mixes. One is called Spring Fling and the next one is called Happy Vibes. These are really bright, colourful sequin mixes with lots of different bits and pieces in as well. Not just normal sequins, they have extra bits, of which I'm totally in love with at the moment. So I'm starting off by making the background to my layout. So I've gone for a really bright colour scheme. I'm going for the Heidi Swap Colour Fresh collection, and I'm just, I want that border, the bright pink border around the background. So I've just made that into kind of a frame, and then I'm putting my white cardstock background on the top. I can't make layouts on pattern paper, it drives me crazy. I have to have some white space. So I'm using the white background, but I'm bringing in that piece of pattern paper there to go onto the background, but most of it is separated by white space. So that works well for me. That's a good way for me to get pattern paper onto my layout without it being a full sheet. So what I'm doing now is I'm using a cut file there. It's a little frame, and I'm going to paint that in a minute using Shimmerz paints. And I am going to embellish my layout later on with the sequins. You'll see that I embellish the frame with the sequins, and I also embellish the layout in 3 clusters using those amazing sequin mixes as well. So right now I'm going to get that frame painted. That's the first little job that can be drying while I make the rest of the layout. So I'm using 2 colours of Shimmerz paints there. One is a gold, it's called Minor 49er, and it's an Inklingz one. Now what you have to do with these is you have to spray them with some water, or put a bit of water in the pot and let them sit for a few minutes, and basically what happens is the water melts the paint, so that it kind of activates it, is what the official line is, but basically it melts it, and it turns the top layer of the paint into a proper wet paint rather than a solid colour. I can't think of the word. A solid pan of paint. So they're just sitting there melting away, and the other one is it's called Good Old Summertime, or it might be Pink Champagne. I think it's Pink Champagne. I'll link them below, and that's a Creameez, and it's the same kind of thing as an Inklingz, except that it has slightly less shimmer. It's very intense colour, and again it's a hard paint that you have to let sit with some water first. It has to react with the water. So as you can see, my frame there I'm going to paint in a moment, but what I'm doing while the paint was melting is to get my title and my journaling in place, because I wanted to tell the story of my daughter on this layout. She's a lovely girl, but she's so daft. She comes out with the most silly things, and we regularly say, oh Sophie, if you had a brain you'd be dangerous, because she's just away with the fairies most of the time, bless her. And we were playing a game called Articulate, which you probably know, but if you don't, it's a game where you have a word and you're not allowed, you've got to describe to the other team what the word is. Without saying the word. So my son was trying to describe the word duckling, and we said about you feed these, it's a baby animal, you feed them at the park, they live on water, and she comes out with baby seals. So that's classic Sophie. So yeah, I wanted to document that little funny story about her on this layout, so that's why I have a slightly odd title. And I say I wanted to get it in place first before so I could embellish around the title and the journaling. So often I add my journaling last, but on this occasion I wanted to add it first because the layout is about the story rather than the photo itself. So my paints are ready now, and what I'm doing is I'm painting my frame. So I painted the large piece in the pink, and I'm painting the detail piece in the gold, and I'm just going over that with a couple of coats of that beautiful gold paint, Minor 49er Inklingz, and as soon as that's dry I will stick those pieces back together, and then I can add my photo, and I can add my I can put it back onto my layout. So there we go, I'm nearly ready there. So what I did was I backed the back of that frame with a piece of paper, and then I painted the piece of paper. But actually what I should have done was back it with the paper I wanted to back my photo on, or mount my photo on. So yeah, I'm fiddling around with this. You know, I never get anything right first time. I regularly take unstick things and restick things, and yeah, basically you know, not everything happens perfectly first time. You learn from your mistakes, and on this occasion I should have measured my photo, trimmed it down and made it sit within the frame instead of just trying to stick it over the frame, which is what I normally try and do. Yeah, so there you go. I've got a little journaling card that's backing that frame now, and then I've trimmed my photo down small enough that it will sit within the frame, so it has a nice border on it, rather than trying to fit a photo in that was the wrong size, really. Okay, so my the gold part of my frame is still really wet, so I'm going to just leave that to one side. The main part of the frame is there for placement, and I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to do with these sequins. Now, I wanted to, initially I was thinking of going all around the edge of that piece of pattern paper in the middle and creating a border with the sequins, but I didn't like the way that looks. I've tried that before and I never seem to like the way that looks, so I should realise that actually I should just not do that. And what I'm doing now instead is I'm creating 3 sequin clusters, because sequins are beautiful and they are embellishments like anything else, and there's so many different things in these mixes by Jodie that they can create embellishments all by themselves. They are just so very beautiful. Those big starburst style sequins are from the Happy Vibes set, and I've used those as the basis for my 3 clusters, and I've added other bits as well. So the pink sequins around the edges, the different flowers. I've also added the lovely little little bows from the other one, Spring Vibes. And what I'm doing now is I've added some glue around the edge of my frame there, on the edge of my photo, and I'm adding in the super teeniest, tiniest star sequins you ever did see. They are from the Spring Vibes set. They're so tiny and they're kind of iridescent. They're really lovely, but they are super tiny and super static as well, so they go everywhere and they stick everywhere except where you want them. So I am a bit of a labour of love here. I have applied a small amount of wet glue all the way around the edge, and I'm going to create a frame using those lovely iridescent sequins. They end up looking kind of like glitter. You can't see them in any detail at all on this video, but hopefully you'll see them in the close-up video, the close-up photo, and you'll see what it is that I've done there. So I'm getting all my sequins stuck in place. I use glossy accents most of the time to keep everything from pinging off. I use just regular wet glue, I think, around the edge of my frame, because those tiny iridescent sequins aren't going anywhere. They're so diddy. Yeah, so I've got all of those sequins now, my 3 clusters stuck in place. I'm really happy with the way that they look. I didn't need to use any ephemera or any larger embellishments. They've kept them small and pretty, and they're all glittery and beautiful. So I'm really happy with those. I'm just sticking my frame back together now because my gold part is dry, and then I'm going to add the whole frame to my layout properly. So I'm just adding it on foam pads so it's raised up to give the layout some dimension. The rest of the layout so far doesn't have a lot of dimension. Often I have lots of different paper layers and I have foam pads in between each one, but on this occasion I've just got this frame, and that's the only part of the layout that is raised on foam pads. Okay, so I'm going to come in now with some other little embellishments as well. I want to create a cluster at the bottom right hand side of my photo, so I will put some embellishments around there. I love this paper clip. It's a Simple Stories one. There's a few of these bows in a pack and they're really lovely. I love the black. It goes really well with the Heidi Swap black and white stripes that I've got going on there, and of course the title. As you can see, I'm trying to add some of the Heidi Swap Colour Fresh embellishments, and I don't seem to be doing very well. I fiddle around with those arrows so many times, they end up in so many different places on the layout, because the sequins are enough, to be honest. I don't need a lot else, so therefore I struggled to fit in anything else that was big or of a reasonable size, at least, you know, bigger than the sequins. So I'm just adding in there, it's a clear acetate tab that says "You are one of a kind." That certainly sums up my little girl, so I'm putting that in there. just going in there with the cluster around the bottom right hand corner of the photo. And I'm seeing what else I can add in. So they go, moving those arrows around, and they actually end up somewhere else entirely as well. There they go, they end up there. And I've got a little heart that I've added in at the top, a nice pink bright splash there of colour. Another small yellowy green one underneath my photo. I've also added a pink flower a piece of ephemera to that top cluster there. We just added it in there, and a little pink acetate heart underneath as well. So you can see that the rest of my embellishments are subtle. I normally go heavy on the embellishments, but on this occasion I wanted the sequins to shine through. They are good enough for embellishments all by themselves. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So I'm just also now adding a few doodlebug gems just to bring in the glitter a little bit more. And that edge was bothering me. It wasn't, because it's white, even though I inked the edge of the background paper border, I just felt that the white background also needed a border, so I've just gone around and added that in black. And now I'm going through and I'm adding in some paint splatters around the the three sequin clusters and the two colours I use of the shimmers, so the Creameez pink champagne colour and the minor 49er Inklingz colour. So I just added some paint splashes there, and that's me done. So thank you so very much for watching me today. I hope you've enjoyed the way I've used these sequin mixes as embellishment clusters. And don't forget, if you place an order through the Spiegel Mum Scraps store and you enter code Niki15, you will get a discount. Thanks very much for joining me. That was Niki Rowland for Spiegel Mum Scraps.